listening to it. It's getting loud.
Yeah, I want to go.
Whatever you do. Real safe with Microsoft.
All right, good morning. How's everybody? 6:30. Want to make sure we're following the code this week. We want to be prompt, start on times right at 6:30. So let's with our time, work, appointments, projects, etc. So let's try to stick to our schedule, and if we need to modify, let's give advance notice ahead of time so people aren't waiting. There's nothing more frustrating sometimes is waiting to get going on something. So let's keep up with that communication and let's set a schedule and try to work to that schedule. So safety news, another 7 days without recordable. Excellent job. You know, our projects have kind of slowed down a little bit, but it doesn't mean that our hazards don't exist. So we need to really make sure that we are following our hierarchy of controls. Those JHAs are a very important tool to everybody get on the same page, talk about what we're going to accomplish for the day, looking at all of our hazards, what are all of our hazards, and then try to control those hazards through the hierarchy of controls. We're going to talk about that today. This is really one of our biggest exposures the next couple months. We've had a lot of slip and fall accidents over the last years, some of them pretty serious, and guys and girls had to be out of work for quite a long time because of a slip and fall just on either a trailer, just walking to and from out of the pickup truck to the office. We've had a lot of slip and falls. So I kind of have a list here of slip and fall on ice, just any walking working surface on a job site or in the parking lots. We've had slip and falls from dismounting equipment on tracks, definitely. As excavator tracks go back and forth on snowy conditions, it gets really slippery. We've had some pretty bad accidents that way. We've had slip and falls from climbing onto equipment, try to get up, slip, hit their face, jam their shoulders on tracks and things like that. We've had slip and falls on snow-covered frost blankets. I'm sure it's happened to quite a bit of people here, but we've had jammed shoulders. We've had almost some knee issues with those types of situations. Slip and fall and working on slopes. We've had soft tissue issues with shoulders and knees, broken bones, ankles, hand and wrist, and also concussions just by slip and fall. So something that we don't really think about, but I really want to raise that awareness so we can hopefully keep this trend going and get into that, 365 days without recordable, because these are the things that really bite us in the butt when it comes to that record. So really, hopefully we raise the awareness today on those slip and fall conditions. So got a little exercise here, slip and fall. What we want to try to do again is eliminate. So here's our hierarchy of controls. We're going to try to eliminate, physically remove the hazard. Let's throw that salt down. Let's call Mr. Burns up with a salt truck. If we got a big area, let's throw it down. Walking in between the office, on the job sites, your walking working surface, grab a bag of salt, throw it down. We're eliminating that ice hazard, okay? If we can't, we can always throw an engineering control such as a cone or a sign that says, hey, slippery surface, avoid this situation. You're kind of physically trying to remove that person from walking on that icy surface. Changing the way you work, I got a little video. I'm going to show some 9 good points about how to hopefully prevent yourself or work with the hazard if you have to regarding ice. And then PPE there are some cleats. There are some overboots with spiked overboots that you can have. They're out there for pretty cheap now on Amazon. Some projects, I know the railroad, Ron, I see Ron here today, the NECR requires it. It's a project requirement.
Were they required? Say that again.
Overboots with spikes. Okay. Yeah. Overboots. Anytime there's snow and ice in the trackway. And I think Chimbro, we worked for Chimbro, they're the same way. So it's becoming more of a norm and something that I think, I got to talk with Ben about, having these types of situations for those projects when it makes sense. So got a little video here I'm going to show about the cold weather slip and falls, the 9 defenses, hopefully to help us get to that point where no one has a slip and fall accident in 2020.
Cold weather brings snow, ice, and many slip, trip, and fall hazards. During winter, walking anywhere outside demands extra attention to avoid slipping and falling. No matter how well the snow and ice is removed from parking lots or how much salt has been thrown down, there are still going to be some slippery surfaces every time you walk outside. Here are 9 ways to prevent cold weather slips and falls. 1. Remain constantly aware of the potential dangers. Don't become a victim. 2. During cold weather conditions, approach every outdoor surface with caution and expect them to be hazardous. 3. Learn how to walk safely on ice and other slick, slippery surfaces. For example, on slick surfaces, slow down and take smaller steps. Short steps or shuffling increases stability. Keep your hands out of your pockets and wear gloves. Hands in your pockets while walking decreases your center of gravity and your balance, and you can help break your fall if your hands are free. Gloves will serve to protect your hands if you do fall. 4. Avoid wearing regular shoes outside. Instead, wear shoes, shoe covers, or boots that provide traction on snow and ice. 5. Use special care when entering and exiting your car in the parking lot. As you step into or out of a vehicle, it causes a sideways force on your outside foot. If that foot is on an icy surface, it can slip out from under you. Get a firm grip on the vehicle for support. 6. When you are entering or exiting vehicles like SUVs or trucks, always use 3 points of contact. 7. Walk in designated walkways as much as possible. Taking shortcuts over snow piles and other frozen areas can be hazardous. 8. Check the path ahead. Snow or ice-covered sidewalks and driveways, inclined pathways, and black-topped surfaces may require travel along the edge for traction. 9. Approach every snow-covered surface with caution. If you cannot see what's under the snow, proceed with extreme caution. Could be a hole or a bunch of broken concrete. We call surfaces like these ankle breakers. Worse, it might be a sheet of snow-covered ice. There are few things more slippery. Remember these 9 defenses. Don't let cold weather get you down.
Any questions on that? Okay. So it's a big one out there. A lot of potential, big exposure. Just minimize this. So I'll pass it over to Mr. Dow for the announcements.
Yep.
And you can just kind of scroll down.
Well, thank you. Good morning. How's everybody? It is cold. I got an extra layer. Hopefully you guys make sure to get an extra layer on today when you're out there. Keep your feet warm.
It's not showing up.
What's that? Okay.
Not sure up on the screen.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Okay, welcome to the 17th of January. We're more than a 24th of the way through the year, so we're in good shape. So everyone's health and dental, you should already have your new health cards. Did anybody not receive the Cigna card that was expecting one? If you did not receive it, you should have received it like last week. So let Susan know and she'll help you track it down. The dental cards, if you have Delta Dental, you should have gotten it within the last couple of days. If not, wait a couple of days. And if it does not show up, let Susan know or let Sarah know, and they'll track that down for you. The dental card, I think I just got mine 2 days ago. So we've got those coming, and they'll come with the card, put it in your wallet. So when you go to the dentist the first time, you're using that new card. The thing with the Cigna cards is the new ones don't look like they have the start date. So make sure to take the old one that says beginning of January of 2018 and get rid of that one, because the group numbers are different on those cards. And if you go to the doctor, they'll deny you if you bring the old card in. They'll also have to update your insurance information wherever you go. So make sure to have that with you. It looks like we've got W-2s being, oh, they have been mailed this week. So you should be probably getting those within the next several days. If you don't see them by the end of next week, probably check in with Sarah. They mailed them all out to whatever address that you have in the system. So once in a while, if there's an error in that, it'll go to the wrong place and you won't get them. So that's another important reason to have your updated address or mailing address up to the front office so they can put it into the system for things like this. AGC Vermont Building Bridges at the State House was an event. It was yesterday. Several guys went. Anybody in here that went to that? Yeah. Tom? Good.
It was a great event, you know, primarily about workplace safety and then workforce development. We all attended a number of committee meetings, and the flagging committee really showed up strong, spoke well, they heard the transportation, outside transportation, and I think there was the enforcement coming forward. I would think well deserved for sure.
Yeah, and that's good. And a lot of that's really was got a boost by all the issues that they had in the last several years, right? So that's something that we're passionate about on our work sites, to make sure that the flagging operation and the people that are doing it for us are safe. So that was it used to be called the Storm the State House, but they've changed it. Last time I went, it was Storm the State House. The purpose of the event is to be involved in the legislative process and to also advocate for the issues that are important to our industry. A couple of important this year were, for anyone that didn't hear, that it's online, were the better flagger safety in our work zones. And there is a link here if you look at the email, and you can actually check that legislation out. Attending committee meetings, that's something that we do when we go down there, which is kind of interesting. You get exposed to what it's like down there in the State House, and then you always come back with probably something that Joey did last night is look up how do laws get made, right? Because a lot of us, we're into the technical stuff in school. We kind of dumped all that stuff on how it really happens. So I think that's really, really cool. We get some pictures here. Yep, there's Matt, Joey, Tom, and Ken, and Justin. Cool. You've got, that's in the governor's office, right, Tom? Ceremonial office with his ceremonial desk. Yeah, that's cool. This week we're featuring the GMRC Bridge Strengthening Project. We're contracted with Vermont Rail to conduct bridge strengthening to 4 bridges. They're on the Green Mountain Railroad. The bridges are located in Chester, Cavendish, and Ludlow. 2 of them are longer span through girders over the Williams River, and the other 2 are shorter span deck girders over different town highways. The push to bring these bridges up to 263,000 pound capacity is related to another one of our projects, Middlebury Tunnel. During the 10-week shutdown of the rail traffic in Middlebury, the VTR will be detoured over the GMRC to the NECR and back to the VTR in Burlington. These 4 bridges, however, are not adequate for the loads that they're going to put on them when they detour these trains. The 2 deck girder bridges get top and bottom cover plates, as does the through girders. The second through girders get floor beam cover plates, and replacements of 1 stringer. We plan to drill all the cover plates, which are over some 30 foot long with hundreds of bolts. This will be done during work windows since there is traffic on this railroad 4 to 5 days a week. The work is expected to go through the winter. So that's a good little project. It's highly technical. And when these guys are doing, any of those guys in here, when anybody that's been exposed to that, they're drilling all these holes in these pieces that fit on, and they all have to line up. They all have to line up when they put it on. All the bolts have to go through. It's really quite a process to watch. The other thing that you notice is these old bridges are pretty old and corroded, and it's a bear to work on them. So here's
some lead paint in there too.
lead paint. Lead paint's like the best thing to use for a bridge. It lasts the longest, but it's the worst for us when we get exposed to it trying to take it off. So there's a picture. Looks like doing some that related work right there. Looks like they're working on some rivets, which you'll hear them talking about removing rivets. That's quite a process. When they're cutting the rivets, they got to avoid cutting the bridge. So that's always interesting to watch them do that. This guy's up on some staging. Hope he doesn't catch his beard on fire. Yeah, that's one of those cool new helmets, right, Matt? Is that one of those new?
Papper, yeah. Powered air purifying respirator.
Yeah, you can see on the back. It's got a respirator hooked to it. How many of those do we have?
We have 2 now.
Yep.
We're still finding, even though the lead has, the bridges have been de-leaded, we're still kind of getting exposed to lead, so we'll upgrade our PPE.
Yep.
Hopefully solve the problem.
Yep. So that's an effort to keep us safe, to keep us from getting exposed and building up lead concentrations in our bodies. And these guys are really exposed to it every day, and it can be a simple thing, just like washing your hands. You know, take your gloves off when you're done working and you start rubbing your face or whatever, and you can get these small little particles. And then when you get a test, these guys are tested regularly to see what the concentrations of lead are. And if it starts to go up, then that means that we've got to increase our vigilance on our practices with your hierarchy of controls, but also with the PPE. The PPE will help us as a final measure. Our photo archives. Oh, Grand Isle. This is the Grand Isle drawbridge repairs back in 2008. Yep, that was another cold project. So that being said, Susan's going to help with the checks this morning, so she can put some names to faces. So, all right, thanks, and have a good week and be safe. Be safe out there. You gonna do them all, Sue?
I don't know. Whoever. I'm gonna try. Work with me here.
You can speak loudly.